The football team's winning streak comes to an end.
And the ice hockey team fights for it all in a shootout.
All this and more coming up on All Access.
Welcome to another edition of All Access, the show that is your profit source for the latest on Rowan Athletics. I'm Cody Decker.
And I'm Rachel Williamson, filling in for John Patterson this week, who's out shopping for Halloween candy. Nonetheless, there are no rain delays on this show, so let's get started.
Let's do it. The Rowan University women's volleyball team won 3-0 over Rutgers Newark in a New Jersey Athletic Conference match on Tuesday night. The Profs have an overall record of 9-11, and they are 3-2 in the NJAC. The Scarlet Raiders are 9-7 overall and 1-3 in the conference. The set scores were 25-22, 25-21, and 25-14. Opposite, Dalton Sanchez led Rowan with 11 kills. Outside hitter Erica O'Hagan recorded 9 kills, and outside hitter Danielle Havlicek had 8. Defensive specialist setter Rebecca D'Antonio and setter Mary Grace Testa collected 19 and 14 assists, respectively. D'Antonio also tallied 10 digs. Defensive specialist Carrie Ann Manziano contributed with 18 digs. Libero Jennifer Varell added 13 digs. Next, Rowan hosts Ramapo College on Tuesday, October 13th at 7 p.m.
The Rowan University and Montclair State University women's soccer team settled for a 0-0 draw after 2 overtimes on Saturday night. The Profs are 8-1-2 overall, 3-0-2 in the New Jersey Athletic Conference. The Red Hawks are 9-2-2 record with 2-1-2 in the conference mark. This week, Montclair State was ranked 4th in the South Atlantic region, and Rowan was 9th. For the Profs, goalkeeper Shelby Money made 3 saves. Red Hawks goalie Aaron Finlayson stopped 3 shots. Rowan returns home for NJAC contest versus Stockton University on Wednesday, October 14th at 5 p.m.
The Rowan University men's soccer team traveled to Swarthmore College in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania to take on the Phoenix on Wednesday night. The lone goal of the game came off the head of back Will Justad. He deflected a corner kick by back Marco Fernandez past the keeper at the 27-12 mark. Rowan goalie Kyle Dennis stopped 5 shots in his shutout. The final was 1-0, and Rowan improved their record to a then 10-2 mark.
The Rowan University men's soccer team dropped a 2-1 NJAC contest to number 5 Montclair State University on Saturday night. Rowan goalie Kyle Dennis made 4 saves. Will Sestad scored his 4th goal in the 58th minute, tying the game. Unfortunately for Rowan, forward Kyle Goodwin for the Red Hawks recorded the game-winning goal with 22 minutes and 26 seconds left on the clock in the second half. He scored into an empty net after a shot by forward Rafael Terzi was saved. The Profs have an overall record of 10-3 and they are 2-2 in the NJAC. The Red Hawks are 13-1 overall and they have a 5-0 mark in the conference. Rowan hosts Stockton University on Wednesday, October 14th at 7:30 p.m.
Now for the latest in the world of pro sports, we turn it over to Lenny Schnee for this week's Pro Talk.
Thanks, Cody. This week in pro sports. The MLB playoffs are in full swing this week. The big story in the NLDS came out of Los Angeles on Saturday the 10th. The Mets entered the 7th inning with a 2-0 lead over the Dodgers. That was until perhaps the most controversial play of the season. With the tying run on third, a ground ball was hit to second base. In an attempt to turn a double play, the ball was thrown to shortstop Ruben Tejada, who then viciously was taken out by opposing second baseman Chase Utley. Tejada suffered a fractured fibula from the play. Utley was called safe on the field but was suspended the following day for games 3 and 4 of the series. Also in baseball, the Houston Astros took a 2-1 lead in their series against the Royals. They won behind another stellar outing by starting pitcher Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel remains unbeaten at home this season and will likely be a top candidate for the AL Cy Young Award. Over to the NFL, where the Giants took the main stage on Sunday Night Football this week. The Giants faced the struggling 49ers and Eli Manning took advantage. Eli took MetLife Stadium by storm, throwing 54 passes and completing 41 of them, 3 for touchdowns with a total of 441 yards in the air. With this win, the Giants took sole possession of the NFC East. In the NHL, a familiar name has taken the league by storm with his scoring so far. That player is Patrick Kane of the Chicago Blackhawks. In 3 games, Kane already has 3 goals and 3 assists. This stellar play is continuing amidst the continuing accusations surrounding Kane and his alleged sexual assault in his hometown over the summer. Lastly, we go to the NBA, where New York Knicks head coach Derek Fisher found himself in a confrontation with Matt Barnes of the Memphis Grizzlies in the LA home of Barnes' ex-wife. That is not the type of recognition that Fisher wants right now, considering that the Knicks are coming off an abysmal season and are looking to bounce back. Barnes is also trying to acclimate himself in Memphis and would like to get over this dispute as soon as possible. That's all I have for you on this week's Pro Talk. Rachel and Cody will have updates on both the ice hockey and the football teams. But after the break, Deshaun Waller sits down with Cody Decker to discuss Rowan football on this edition of Prof Spotlight. So stay tuned for more All Access.
Welcome back to All Access. I'm Deshaun Waller. Today I'm here with Cody Decker discussing the huge homecoming game coming up this week against Southern Virginia. Southern Virginia, they come in 0-5, 0-4 in the conference. What kind of game plan do you think that Rowan needs to display to get a win off a team that's been having a tough time winning this season?
Yeah, when you talk about this Southern Virginia team, they definitely had a lot of trouble against all their opponents this season. They've let up 42 points at least on defense, and that's definitely going to be tough on them. If the Rowan Profs just stick to their game plan, Dante Pinckney needs to stay around that 20, maybe 25 mark throwing during the game, and if it's going to be a game where it may run away for Rowan, they're going to need to stick to ground and pound, because that is their game plan. Use that 3-headed monster you have of Jaseem Rover, Dante Tolbert, and Whit Marcelin. That's going to be their game plan on offense. And defensively, they're very tight on defense. They're a formidable force in the front 7, and that secondary, as long as they're not being beaten man coverage, they play their zone coverage correctly. As long as Rowan sticks to their game plan, really, they can beat this Southern Virginia team on homecoming weekend. Absolutely.
You mentioned with Marcelin, he's coming off 198 yards last game. He had a huge game. It's been very tough to stop him this year, and if definitely I agree, if they could get the run game going early, that will give Southern Virginia all kinds of problems. As you alluded to, they're been terrible against the pass and the rushing game this year. But as far as the quarterback, Dante Pinckney, he's been very game management, 15-24 going last game, 130 yards. Do you think he can get it going this week in the air and get a couple touchdowns?
Yeah, I think he could, and I think a couple of big plays from Dante Pinckney and from his wide receivers, preferably Russ Fortune and maybe some other wideouts, they can make some big plays this week. It'll definitely make a difference in the game, and it'll make it easier for Rowan to really make an impact on the game, try and get a lead, mix up their play calls a little bit. Again, we're used to seeing Dante Pinckney go 15, 20 times a game throwing, and he's very efficient. Doesn't really turn the ball over much, but again, that efficiency and completion rating, which is very high, I believe in the 60s or 70s, that's very key. And if Rowan can maybe mix up the pass and the run a little bit, try and experiment maybe a little bit, it could help them in the long run down for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, and the Rowan defense has definitely been tough this year, led by Darren Dungy, the linebacker. He's coming off a 15-tackle game last week, and definitely if he can lead that defense going with Shaq Lee, replacing the injury that happened this year with the safety position, this team could definitely come up with a big win this week, hopefully for the homecoming crowd this week. So, I definitely expect a big game out of the defense and a big game from rush offense, and hopefully Dante Pinckney can, get the pass game to explode on a very leaky secondary that Southern Virginia displays.
Yeah, absolutely, and you touched on the defense a little bit. I'll touch on them as well. Eddie Davis on the outside along with Jared Sanchez. They have a couple of picks this year, and, that secondary is going to be key to lock down those Southern Virginia receivers. And that front 7, like I said, is really stacked, and it's led by Darren Dungy, really controlling the center of that defense and controlling everybody, taking that captain role and going with the game plan, making sure plays and formations are being set correctly and they're being executed correctly by everybody. He's a true leader on that defense. And as long as that front 7 gets pressure on the quarterback this week, I don't see Southern Virginia having possibly maybe any shot in this game to try and score points.
Absolutely, and I just definitely think that Rowan University would have to just put everything together, just go in with the game plan execute everything the way they are coached to do it, and they should definitely walk out with the victory this week for sure.
Rowan coming off the loss 31-28 to Salisbury, which we'll get to later in the show. It's heartbreaking because Rowan was undefeated, playing well in the NJAC, staying up at the top of the NJAC, and now they come into this week. They come back home against Southern Virginia for homecoming, and they coming out of the game against Montclair State when they had their first home game. It was a win, but it was a very sloppy win, I think they could say. And really, you know, they want to play better for their home fans. They want to give a better effort for their home fans. And with all the activities going on this week and everything, you know, the football team should be amped up and ready to go for this game against Southern Virginia, really wanting a win and getting another NJAC win so they can climb their way back up to the top of the standings.
Absolutely, and obviously the coaching staff is going to do everything they can to get these guys ready to perform, and hopefully we get a good performance out of them this week.
Absolutely. I'd love to call a good performance for them. Again, you can catch the game this Saturday on RTN Channel 5, 2 o'clock kickoff, Channel 5 on campus, or live.rtnch5 if you are not in the area. So make sure you check it out.
Thank you. And that's all the time we have this week for Prof Spotlight. I'd like to thank Cody Decker for stopping by and hanging out with us. Coming up after the break, Cody and Rachel have more updates on everything Rowan sports, so stay right here for more All Access.
Welcome back to All Access. We have reports on the ice hockey and football teams, but first let's kick off the final segment with an update on the women's soccer team. Rachel?
The Lady Profs steamrolled their way to victory over conference opponent Stockton University on Wednesday night in an 8-0 blowout. Forward Rachel Galanti scored 2 goals and had an assist. Forward Jenna Pressler contributed with 2 goals, and back Marissa Marini had a goal and 2 assists. Forwards Joanna James, Nikki Kalechi, and back Allison Engel each hit the cage 1 time. Forward Alexa Bonomo chipped in with an assist, and goalies Carly DeMarco and Susie Mansour shared the shutout.
On Saturday, the Rowan field hockey team defeated the Ramapo Roadrunners 5-1. Forward Sam Brown scored 2 goals and had 1 assist. Forward Jenna Pressler contributed with a goal and an assist. Forward Erica Ferrione and midfielder Joanna James each tallied 1. Forward Rachel Galanti had 2 assists, and forward Nikki Kotelnicki added 1. The Lady Profs are now 7-4 overall and 2-0 in the NJAC.
On Friday, the men's ice hockey team traveled to Laux Ice Center in Lawrenceville to take on their league rival Rider University. About 3.5 minutes into the first period, forward Christopher Johnson gave the Bronx the lead. Rowan would respond about 40 seconds later with a power play goal by defenseman Peter Kaz. At 5 minutes and 17 seconds left in the first, Rider would reclaim their lead with a power play goal of their own by defenseman Connor Fox. The Profs would respond again at the 2-minute and 20-second mark with a goal from center Robert Wilworth. Both teams would go into the first intermission with a 2-2 tie. After a chippy second period and no change to the score, both teams came out the third period wanting the W. Early on in the third, the Bronx would take the lead again with a goal from forward John Martino. Rowan would battle back for a third time with a goal from right wing Mike McGahey. The clock struck 0 in regulation, and an extra 5 minutes of 4-on-4 play would be played. That could not decide the game either. In the shootout, Johnson would open the scoring in the first inning. Rowan responded in the best of 3 in the third inning, with left wing Alex Polis beating the goalie and sending the shootout into extra innings. After 2.5 extra innings with excellent saves from the goalies, center Corey Geringer would get the game-winning shootout goal for the Profs and seal their second MAC North Division win.
After an exciting finish the night before, the Profs traveled home to face national powerhouse William Patterson on Saturday night. Coming off a head-to-head win short of the national semifinals last season, the Pioneers continued their quest to repeat a nationals berth, which started well going into this game with a 7-0 record. Rowan literally had no chance as the Pioneers' fast and physical offense tallied 10 goals by 10 different players. They were scored by DJ Sabato, Nick Brown, and Adam Apadopoulos in the first period. Alan West, Cody Calcagno, Ryan Ertman, James Bobb, Kyle Garlasco, and Sean LaCourty in the second, and Mark Apadopoulos tallied a goal in the third. Rowan could only produce 1 goal from defenseman Andrew Doherty. A ton of penalties and an offensive machine in the Pioneers took Rowan out of the game from the opening faceoff. For more on this game, here is Tom Stinapoli reporting from Hollydale Ice Arena.
Tom Stinapoli here at the Rowan Television Network. Rowan versus William Patterson today, having lost 10-1. Caught up with some players and Coach Clawfield after the game, and this is what Coach had to say about the bad loss today.
Yeah, he says, well, ideally you don't want to get your hat handed to you 10-1, but it's a great learning experience. You get to see what the top-notch teams have, and now it's something for us to strive for. Now we know how good they are and what they do and how they ran their power play and how they ran their forecheck and what their back pressure looked like. And those are things that we can try to emulate and maybe bring our game up to that level.
Talking to Alex Polis after the game, and he had some strong words about the team going forward.
We got these guys last game of the year, and this is my last year, and us older guys, like I always say, we're going to instill in these guys that we're never going to be embarrassed like that again, ever. And I mean, like I said, our intensity level was so bad today, so poor. I mean, like, for the parents that drive 2 hours, 4 hours to come here, it's upsetting, but it'll definitely be a change of sequences coming up these next couple of weeks with these games.
Talking to Cody Riley, he discussed what it's like to be pulled and how the team effort just wasn't there today.
Team effort wasn't there tonight, and when you get pulled from a game like that, I don't want to say it's a relief, because it's never a relief to get pulled from a game, but when you're being forced to make all those saves and just there's nothing you could do and giving up 8 goals in half the game, is just it's not right, and I just feel we didn't come ready to play tonight. And I felt bad for Defo having to go in cold.
Tom Snapley here with Cody Decker, recapping the game. Again, Rowan losing 10-1 against William Patterson. Cody, we talked about how William Patterson is an offensive juggernaut, and Rowan just couldn't play up to par with them today.
Yeah, it's amazing to see Rowan be beat so badly. I mean, they're such a fighting team. They played really hard. When you're talking about this William Patterson team, we mentioned it during the broadcast. 26-4 on the season last season. They now started 8-0. This is a national powerhouse. They made it to nationals last season. They're averaging 6 goals a game going into this game. They scored 10 today. Again, you mentioned it perfectly. The perfect words for it: offensive juggernaut. And really, Rowan just had no match for them today.
Now you heard the strong words by Alex Polis, kind of Tim Tebow-esque there, making that speech that he will not get embarrassed again. What do you think of that, and how true do you think that's going to be?
I'll tell you what, he's making his name as an alternate captain. He's wearing the Hunters jersey for a reason. And the fact of the matter is he's totally correct. You know, the Profs have been playing some lackadaisical hockey. I'd say the last 4 games, even though they've won a majority of them, they've had a little bit of trouble these past few games trying to get some chemistry issues worked out, and some other kinks, and some fundamentals have been the problem the last 2 games against Ryder and today against William Patterson. So I think Alex Polis is really looking to make a statement as the ultimate captain, and I expect to see some improvements made with this Profs team.
Those improvements look to be changed Friday night at Westchester. Puck drop slated, 9:00 p.m. For Cody Decker, I'm Tom Snapley, and this has been a presentation of the Rowan Television Network.
The Rowan University football team lost its first game of the season, 31-28 at Salisbury University on Saturday. The Profs had an overall record of 4-1, and they are 3-1 in the NJAC. Running back Whit Marcelin broke 2 more program records. He ran the ball 29 times for 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. Marcelin now has 30 career rushing scores, breaking the previous record of 28, set by Robbie Reed. Marcelin had 14 receiving yards on 3 receptions and returned a kick for 19 yards. The 223 all-purpose yards gained gave him his career total of 4,567, passing Scott Limford's all-time mark of 4,522. On Salisbury's last possession, their offense took 5 minutes and 14 seconds off the clock in 10 plays. Rowan got the ball one last time with 50 seconds left but could not score. The Seagulls held on for their 31-28 victory. Next, Rowan hosts Southern Virginia University for homecoming on Saturday, October 17th at 2 p.m. You can catch the game live at live.rtnch5.com or tune in to Channel 5 on campus.
That is all the time we have for you this week, but you can check us out on Channel 5 weekdays at 8 p.m. That's right here on RTN Channel 5. Or check us out at our YouTube page, youtube.com/RTN Channel 5, RTNCH5. You can see all of our episodes there. On behalf of my partner, the lovely Rachel Williamson, Lenny Schnee, Deshaun Waller, and the entire All Access team, I'm Cody Decker. We'll see you next time.